have put together. These videos, there are two leaders in our building that give you a little flavor for what life is like at Liberty High School. And then we'll show you another video about the course selection process, so you have a little information, because I know that's often a part of really what's at this point creates a little bit of anxiety. So we want to make sure that you understand what's going to happen in that process. You'll get to meet, I guess, virtually meet our guidance counselors and hear a little bit from them. And then after that, then we will enter in. I'll briefly tell you about the orientation process between now and September, and then we'll head into the Q&A. All right, so I'm going to share my screen. Oh, that's not good. Don't know why that's happening.
Hi, my name is Josh Lee, and I'm a senior here at Liberty High School. Throughout my high school experience, I can say that without a doubt, Liberty has prepared me tremendously for my future endeavors and academic development. It has provided me with an immense amount of educational resources, and it has something to offer for everyone. With over 50 different clubs and many different sports teams, there are so many ways to explore and define your passion and purpose. Liberty offers over 20 different challenging AP courses and even allows students to take college level courses at Lehigh, Moravian, and many more other colleges. But often, people find their passion and purpose outside of the classroom, and Liberty does a great job of recognizing this and providing for these needs. Personally, as a Korean student who was new to Liberty and public school, I really didn't have any friends or teachers that I was close with. But during my first year, I realized that the teachers here are willing to form relationships that go beyond the classroom. And I think that's what makes Liberty such a special place, is that whether it be the janitors, the guidance counselors, the teachers, everyone goes out of their way and does beyond what people expect of them. And this is what makes Liberty such a successful place. Everyone pushes each other to succeed because everyone wants each other to succeed. I found that this was a very common theme among other students as well. Everyone was pushing each other out of each other's comfort zones because that's what they knew needed to be done if they wanted to succeed in high school. Through the help of my teachers and my friends, I was able to gain the confidence I needed to succeed and go out of my comfort zone. I was able to become class president and be debate club secretary and the school board representative. This is all due to the fact that the teachers and the staff are devoted to meet the needs of the students because they love what they do. And I think that's what makes Liberty, Liberty. Life has been crazy ever since last March when the pandemic hit, but I'm so glad I was able to experience Liberty life and what it had to offer beforehand. Because if I hadn't, I would be a totally different person. It gave me ways to express myself, become socially and intellectually expansive, and establish lifelong connections with teachers and students that go beyond the learning experience.
Okay, give me 1 second to track down the other video. Sorry, wouldn't work through that way. Nope.
Hi, my name is Jessica Esch, and I'm the sophomore class president here at Liberty. When I first walked into Liberty in August of 2019, I was nervous, just like any other freshman would be. I got lost going to class, and I continued to get lost for almost 3 weeks. But soon, those halls became like home, and my route from the 300s to the 800s to the 500s became second nature. You'll learn where those buildings are during your first week, don't worry. Freshman year was so much fun, and I met so many new people, friends, and teachers who had and continue to have a positive impact on me. Liberty is a great school filled with amazing faculty and staff who want to see you succeed, and the world really is at your fingertips here. From engineering to accounting to public speaking to classes at VOTech, there's so many new opportunities to dive into that you might not even have considered before. Liberty offers on-level, advanced, and honors courses, and we have over 20 advanced placement classes to choose from. There are even opportunities for dual enrollment at local colleges like Northampton Area Community College and Moravian. Aside from all the great academic opportunities, there's always something fun going on at Liberty. Whether it's the football games in the BASC Stadium, Spirit Week with its awesome pep rallies, Minithon in the spring, or all of our sporting events and clubs. Speaking of clubs, we offer over 30 clubs at Liberty, so there really is something for everyone. Can't find a club you want to join? Grab some friends, find a teacher who's willing to help, and start your own. Of course, you can't forget about our phenomenal Grenadier Band, which proudly boasts over 200 members. But besides classes, football games, and the rest of the classic American high school experiences, there's some other little moments that make Liberty what it really is. Like watching the sunrise when you get off the bus, waving at your friends in the overpass, getting hot chocolate from the coffee shop, and sharing a laugh with your classmates. Over your next 4 years here at LHS, you're going to hear the phrase passion and purpose a lot, and I mean a lot. You might not know what it means at first, but as you try new things and have new experiences, you really will start to understand what your purpose is in life. That's what's so great about Liberty. The teachers here want the best for their students, and as you go on throughout high school, you will meet new people who want the best for you too. Go Hurricanes!
Okay, one last video I want to show you.
Hi, class of 2025. We're your Liberty High School counselors, and we're here to talk to you today a little bit about your transition to Liberty, as well as the course selection process. But first, we wanted to introduce ourselves.
Hi, everyone. My name is Mr. Euler. I work with students at Liberty with last names A through B.
Hi, everyone. I'm Mr. Zulo. I work with students from BI to CL.
Hi, I'm Ms. Kumar, and I work with students whose last names begin with CO through D.
Hi, everyone. My name is Mrs. Lytak, and I work with students' last names E through GO.
Hello, my name is Mrs. Adelsberger, and I work with students whose last names begin with the letters GR through JOH.
Hello, I'm Mrs. Walk, and I work with the letters JON through L.
Mr. Wuchter, I have students with last names MA to MI.
Hi, I'm Mrs. Berry, and I work with students MO through PA.
I'm Mrs. Para, and I work with students with last names PE through RI.
Hi, I'm Ms. Vasquez, and I have students' last names RO through SE.
Hi, I'm Mrs. Abud, and I have students SF through T.
Hello, I'm Mrs. Kwiatkowski, and I have students' letters U through Z.
As mentioned, we are going to review important orientation and course selection information to prepare you for your upcoming course selection meetings. Your Student Service Center is your home away from home and consists of 3 school counselors broken down by alphabet, your assistant principal, and your guidance secretary. You will visit your Student Service Center often to check in with your school counselor and when you need support with anything. On the website, you will find a tab for course registration information, including the program of studies, daily announcements, a list of clubs and organizations, athletics, a faculty directory, a login page for home access and Clever, also including information on Naviance. Liberty's website contains important information related to everything you see on this slide and more. In preparing for course selection, it is important we talk about graduation requirements. As you can see, all subject area graduation requirements are outlined here. Core or academic courses will be recommended by your current teachers, and you will be scheduled next year for English 9, US History 2, Biology, and Math, as well as Freshman Seminar, Health 1, and a gym class. You will also likely be scheduled for a world language, then through the course selection process, be able to choose electives to round out your schedule, as well as alternates. Community service is a graduation requirement for all students in BASD. As you can see, by spring of your senior year, you need to have completed and handed in appropriate paperwork for 60 hours of community service. This completes the half credit of community service you need for graduation. Should you complete an additional 60 hours of community service, totaling 120 hours, you will receive an additional half credit towards your graduation credit requirement. If a student completes 135 or more hours of community service, they will be recognized at graduation for this accomplishment and be given a silver cord to wear. It is important to note that you may earn up to 30 hours in the summer between your 8th and 9th grade years. Our community service coordinator is Ms. Cruz, and information related to community service can be reviewed at any time on the Bethlehem Area School District website.
So what are you passionate about and what do you want to be? To prepare for course selection, it's important to consider what you're passionate about. We'll often hear our principal, Dr. Bailey, discuss passion and purpose and how to utilize this information to plan for your future, both in high school and after graduation. In addition to the Bethlehem Area School District's course offerings being broken down by department, we also have 4 career pathway options. They are business, finance, and law, science, technology, engineering, and math, or STEM, arts and communications, and health and social services. These designations will help you to determine what electives are directly related to the career path you may want to take. As you see here, this is an overview of our different career pathway options. If you'd like to read them, you could pause this video at this time to get a more in-depth understanding of where your career may fit into these different pathways. We also have something called Project Lead the Way at Liberty, which is a College Board approved program in both engineering and biomedical studies. These are different options for you that would both fit within the STEM or medical pathways and would start with both Intro to Engineering and Design or Principles of Biomedical Sciences. The course descriptions are listed in the program of studies, and they may count towards your 4th credit in either math or science towards graduation. This is an example of academic placement. Your academic placement in core courses is determined by several factors such as class grade, teacher input, and standardized test scores. Teacher recommendation will also be a large part of this. This slideshow shows a recommended social studies course sequence from the program of studies. You can view these recommended course sequences for all different departments. Freshman and sophomore seminar are also required courses that you will be taking. Obviously, 9th grade for freshmen, 10th grade for sophomore. These courses are designed to support transition to high school, both exploration of careers and post-secondary planning. For world language, we have 4 different options at Liberty: Spanish, French, German, and American Sign Language, which was recently introduced. World language fulfills elective credit requirements, and while not required for graduation, it is highly recommended that students take 2 to 3 courses in the same world language at the high school level, particularly if you're looking to attend some form of college. Most colleges prefer or require that high school students have successfully completed a program in world language. Your counselors will give you more information about this when you see them next.
Another option for incoming 9th graders is VOTEC, Bethlehem Area Vocational Technical Schools Fast Track Program. Students who are interested will apply in a second semester, 11-week rotation of 21 programs, followed by a 6-week program choice, which narrows down your program options. Acceptance into this limited program is contingent upon grades, attendance, and discipline record. Listed here are the programs that VOTEC has to offer students. More information regarding these programs and Fast Track can be found on the VOTEC website. These programs include clusters under construction, manufacturing, services, creative, culinary, health, and transportation. If you're interested in applying for Fast Track, see your middle school counselor for an online application. Additionally, you can also contact VOTEC for more information.
So, what's next? You will be receiving the following information from your middle school counselor/teachers to help you prepare for your course selection meeting. A letter for you and your family, newsletter for the class of 2025, elective course offerings sheet, and a course selection worksheet. Take time to review everything with your parents' guardians. Start selecting electives that look interesting. Reminder, recommendations for academic/core courses will be made by your current teachers. Liberty School Counselors will be meeting with you in early February to complete course requests in Home Access Center, also known as HAC. When you meet with your Liberty School Counselor, you will be completing your course selection/requests in the HAC. Make sure to bring all your preparation materials, such as your course selection worksheet and elective sheet, and to have your Chromebook with you and charged. We will be meeting with rising ninth grade students according to this schedule. E-learners and students who attend school on the opposite hybrid days to their last name will be invited to the in-person session based on the schedule above. Look for information from your middle school counselor with times and more details. We want to remind you to review all of your academic recommendations, handouts, and elective options prior to your course selection session. Also, utilize your teachers as a resource to have a discussion about your recommendation and electives you might be interested in. On behalf of all of the Liberty School Counselors, we are excited to meet you and to help you plan out your future at Liberty. We'll see you soon.
Okay. So before we head into some of the chat and answer some questions, a couple things. I know that there's a lot there just in that little bit. We are recording this, and what we did tonight will be posted with the other videos that were on the website in this particular area for orientation. So don't worry if you miss something, it'll be there. So not a worry. I hope that you enjoyed the videos of the students. They are truly just a sample of so many students at Liberty High School who just blow us away in their commitment, their dedication, their ability to adapt and really perform regardless of the situation. And so we're always so blown away by them and so thankful to do what we do with them. The process of orientation, we describe it not as an event, but a journey, because we recognize that this is something that takes time. We're all parents, and we all understand what it's like to send your children to school. And we know that both for the parent and the student, it takes time to adapt. It takes time to learn and understand and deal with the challenges of high school. And so there's a number of things that will happen between now and the time period that we say that they're pretty much indoctrinated into Liberty High School. So we have tonight the parent orientation. There'll be course selection, which you heard a description of coming up very soon, towards the beginning of February. Then your children all will have circles, what we call circles, with me as the principal, which means whether it's face-to-face, socially distanced, or virtually, they'll have the opportunity to meet with me at the buildings and have conversations and ask questions. For our e-classroom students who are currently in e-classroom in the middle schools, they'll have an opportunity to meet with me virtually if we meet face to face in the middle schools. So both groups will have that opportunity. And they kind of just pepper me with questions, and I love just to get to know them and interact with them early on. So that'll happen probably in late March, early April. Then there's Meet the at Midnight, in which our administrative team will come to each of the middle schools and meet with you and kind of have a more intimate setting in which you can ask us questions and just get to know us a little better. Then there is the 8th grade visits to Liberty. So we bring all of our students, all of our incoming students to Liberty High School to visit, walk the halls, hear from current students, and just kind of get a feel for what it's like to be at Liberty. And again, we're hoping that the health conditions improve and we're able to do that. If not, it would be something that we save for later in the year or summer. But it's a part of the process that we try to do with them. After the visit, there's the 8th grade track meet. And that is one of those events which I find really invigorating and amazing, because it's one of the first times that all 3 high schools come together and are, here in the stadium together at Liberty High School competing. But just a neat thing to watch. After the 8th grade track meet, we begin the summer, and they will receive their schedule over the summer. Then in August, there'll be the 9th grade student orientation. It usually happens about mid-August. And that's a full morning in which they spend with us. We bring them in and we really kind of do a number of activities with them. It's the first time they're in the building together as a class. And so we really try to do some icebreakers and things just to get them feeling comfortable with high school. After that is the 9th grade, the same evening is the 9th grade parent night. So we'll have you at Liberty that night and present some other information to you. We do kind of like a workshop format, but you'll be with us that night. And one of the last big things at the very beginning of the school year is our student activities fair. And that is a setup in our Memorial Gym, in which students come in and they walk around the gym and meet students who are currently participating in our clubs, activities, and athletics. And they get a chance to meet them, talk to them about what it's like to be in those different clubs and activities. They get to sign up for them and really kind of just get a feel for what these things are all about. And again, that's another one of those events that I truly love to kind of just stand and watch and see our students interact. So it's a many months of getting them comfortable and feeling like they are ready to be a part of Liberty High School. And so we know, again, that doesn't happen overnight. And so a lot happens between now and that point. And as you heard from those students, it doesn't take long before they feel like they are truly part of the fold at Liberty High School. Final thing I'll say before we head into Q&A is that please know that we're here at Liberty because we truly love what we do. This is not just our careers, this is who we are. We enjoy working with students. We chose to work at Liberty High School, and I know that it's where I'm meant to be, and so we are thankful that you make the choice to send your kids to Liberty High School to join us, and know that everyone at Liberty does everything we can to make them make their high school experience a positive one. And most importantly, one that when they leave us, they're able to identify their passion and purpose, to know what they love and know how they want to use that to change, improve their school, their community, their country, and their world. So again, thank you. And now we will open it up to the chat so we can answer some questions for you. So let's see what we got here. Mr. Trasa is going to help me with that, along with the other administrators.
Mr. Bailey, there is a question here in the Q&A. My daughter is currently at St. Anne's in Bethlehem. How do I get her signed up to meet with counselors for course selection since she's not at public schools for those sessions?
Okay. So there's a couple things that'll happen. One is we will also do what we call a private school orientation for those students who are not from our sending middle schools. So that will occur also. I believe we do it in March, I want to say, possibly February. So there's that. That is kind of a more intimate conversation of people who are in that same scenario. You also, at any time, can reach out to our guidance counselors and have that conversation about the process and what you need to do. We have 2 attendance secretaries that do that go through the process with our parents and our counselors who do their schedules. So we're used to that process. You just give us a call and speak to our registration secretaries and guidance counselors, and we'll get you set up.
All right, Mr. Bailey, next question here is, my daughter joined the Bethlehem Area School District in January of 2020, and due to the pandemic and virtual learning, I am concerned she isn't learning anything new, and high school will be a challenge. What is the plan to bring children up to speed?
So that's something that we all battle. Every school, regardless of the level, we're all battling that same thing, is that we know we have students who, whether they're hybrid or whether they're e-classroom, that are going to come in at different levels and have different struggles, whether it be academically, socially, emotionally. So, there's a myriad of things that we're going to have to do when they come to us to get them ready. The number one thing is show empathy. Because all of our students are dealing with this, as well as our staff. And so we have to be empathetic to that and work with them, take them from where they are to where we want them to be. Academically, we provide so many support services for our students, whether it be our homework club, whether it be individual tutoring through our NHS program. All of our teachers meet with students before school, after school, numerous times during their day. And so there's a lot of different support services that we currently have and that we're going to have beef up and do at higher rates because we're going to have more students who need those services as we move forward. So your child will not be alone. There'll be a number of students who need that, and again, at different levels. And so, we'll be battling that across the board.
There's a couple academic questions I'm going to try to tackle before it gets too far up the chat. Someone had asked about speaking to the levels at Liberty High School. So we currently have our academic on-level courses and our honors courses for 9th graders. We do have programs, electives like academic literacy or academic mathematics for students who may struggle a little bit with English and math that they would be scheduled into. So that addresses what happens if my student is below reading level. We do have intervention for that naturally. But the levels then, once they get up into 10th, 11th, and 12th, they do have the opportunity to take AP, but it will still remain the academic level, honors, or AP. There is questions about When will your students get the materials for course selection? We did send them down to the middle schools, so middle schools have that. We start meeting with middle schools the first week of February, so I would imagine that they're probably going to get those materials next week, maybe towards the end. They're also available on the Liberty website, right at the top of the page where it has videos. If you click on the link, it has all the PDFs and the videos.
I wanted to briefly just introduce Mr. Samatolidis, who joined us there in the picture there. Again, he's the latter part of the alphabet. So welcome, Mr. Samatolidis.
All right. I have a question here. What is the GPA metric system that is used at Liberty? I can answer that question. That question is, we use a 4.0 scale at Liberty High School, actually in the Bethlehem Area School District. Any students who are taking any honors or AP courses, those courses are weighted and can go up to basically 5 points. So a 5.0 scale based on our grading system. Next question. If my daughter wants to join sports, when does she have to sign up? Students, depending on when they're playing sports, if they're playing either in the fall sports, they will get information from the middle schools regarding physicals and all that that is required for any kind of athletics. I know that middle school students have to take physicals also. Both my children played sports in middle school. So if they're playing a winter or spring sport, they will hear announcements at school and pay attention to those announcements for when physicals are, and they can always go to the athletic office to sign up for those sports. There was a question in here about the career portfolio. I'm going to read the question. Hello, did you answer that in the chat?
I did. So the career portfolio is an edict from ESSA, which is a state mandate that follows the student K through 12. And it's maintained either through Google Folder or Naviance. Middle school and high school use Naviance. So that will naturally progress with your students. There was questions about how will your e-classroom student select courses. They will receive a Zoom link to participate in course selection with their classmates. It's being done in social studies classes and with our Liberty counselors. So please keep an eye out for that communication from the middle schools. Your son or daughter student will receive a link, and they need to log on for that so we can walk them through it. We will be using HACC, the Home Access Center, to select courses. There was a question about, can I sign my son up to be an e-learner? The district hasn't distinguished yet what environment we will be in next year. So we can't quite answer that at this point.
There was a question about the videos and where they are. If you go on the Liberty website, there's a particular spot. It should be towards the first top of the first that entry page that you click on, and it takes you to all of the videos. So I don't, Trasa, do you know what it's called? What it states?
Yes, I actually posted if the link. It's BASD, the link for Liberty High School's webpage, and you click the link LHS parent orientation to get it. It's right in the front page right now. So anybody who's on a computer can go on our website and they can click directly on that link, and that's how you would get there. We have some more questions in the chat. I'm sorry, in the Q&A. And so there's 12 questions in here, so I'm trying to go through. I'm trying to answer some as I can, because some are specific to particular students. So, there's a question in here that if your child goes to Brocco, how will they get to school if you don't have a vehicle? So what I can tell you is the Bethlehem Area School District does obviously have buses in the transportation department. They have a specific program that they use to map students out as to how far they are from Liberty High School. There is a 2-mile radius. Please, please, please do not use Google Maps. That is not what they use to make that determination. But the transportation department, they will determine if you are within a 2-mile radius to Liberty High School, and that's how you would qualify to get a bus. There's also some public buses that students can take. You'd have to check the Atlanta bus schedule to see what that is if you don't live within that 2-mile radius, if you're short of it, and you have to come to school that way. Let me see another question here.
Mr. Tross, I'll jump in. You can get ready for the next one. There was a question here about VOTEC. When I was a high school student, you either had to choose college track or VOTEC. Is there an opportunity for a student to experience work towards both areas of interest? And so when our students go to VOTEC, you need to know that they go for a lot of different time periods. So many of our students go just for a block, is what we call flex. There's students that go for half day, and then there's students who have other opportunities to do work experiences and things like that. So it really depends on VOTEC. But most of our students have both experiences. They have a full boat of courses here at Liberty, and they experience time at VOTEC because they have to get the requirements of both places.
Okay.
There's a couple questions about IEPs and 504 plans. Our special education department chair and our ESOL department chair have already collaborated with the guidance counselors at the middle schools in terms of coursework that would be appropriate. And there will be a transition between case managers from both levels when your student comes up to Liberty. As far as the 504 plan, our guidance counselors, you can most certainly email our guidance counselors. They do not work over the summer. However, they do have a couple days in which that they come in that you can schedule an appointment to speak with them, to meet with them. As I saw questions about honors classes. At this point in time, teachers recommend students for the honors program, but that does not mean that if that recommendation wasn't made for your student, that your student can't go into it. If your student wants to be challenged, then we would absolutely encourage students to challenge themselves in the program. We just really want to make sure that there's a good understanding of what that honors program entails, because not only is the transition from middle school to high school a very big jump for students, and the rigors tend to be more than what they're accustomed to, then the honors is one step beyond that. So we often recommend that they go with, maybe choose the 2 strongest subjects to start off with in 9th grade to get their feet wet, and then jump into others.
Go ahead, Mr. Trossa.
Okay. I know they said, I'm sorry, I'm reading. I know they said about the students coming home with letters. What if your child is e-learning student? How would he receive them? So the letters that were sent out by the middle schools were also, I believe, posted in Schoology for students, even at the middle school level. So you should have that there. So if you did not receive it, you can always email your principal or guidance counselor at the middle school, and they will get that to you.
There's a question about, is language a requirement? So language is not technically a BASD graduation requirement. However, it is a requirement for many 4-year colleges. So in order to make sure that students are well-rounded and that they're prepared and have options, because they may change their mind over the next couple of years, we do strongly recommend that students take language. That fulfills elective time. It is recommended that students take consecutive years of the same language. You don't have to stick with the same language that you took in middle school. So for example, if you had Spanish and you want to switch to French, that's fine. The student would indicate that when talking with their counselor, but it is important that you stick with the language for at least 2 to 3 years because colleges will be looking for that. I also saw a question about VOTEC, and if a student knows that they're interested, will they automatically be enrolled? Certainly the student should express that they're interested in that when they're meeting with the counselors, but there is a separate application that must be completed. Traditionally, students go to VOTEC in their 10th grade year, but there is the fast track program that was mentioned in the video. So that is a select group of students that has the opportunity to go and rotate through all of the programs. Students can participate in that program and then decide that they want to continue the following year, or they can opt to. But if they are interested in the 9th grade year, they have to complete that online application, and they can get more information from their middle school counselor.
There was a question here. The parents missed the dates for the middle school course selection. So I'm going to repeat the dates. So Northeast Middle School course selection dates are going to be on February 2nd and February 3rd. Brockle course selection dates is going to be February 4th and February 5th. Nichman Middle School is going to be on February 9th and February 10th.
And let me explain a little bit. The reason that there's 2 dates is because the way in which they do course selection is the first date is really one in which they're just giving the students information, kind of like a presentation so that the kids can kind of think about what they need to do. And then the second day is more of that specific, okay, this is what we're signing up for kind of thing. So that's why there's multiple dates.
And that time is built in. I just wanted to add, specifically because we want to encourage parents to be involved in the process and have those conversations with their children. So we want kids to take that information home, give time for some discussion, and then the counselors will come back to complete the process.
There was a number of questions about athletics. I just want to reiterate, normally Mr. Harris would be here with us. Unfortunately, he couldn't be. But athletics, it really depends on what the season is. The question was around when do they try out and those kinds of things. So one of them was cheerleading. Well, cheerleading kind of happens all year long. So it really depends on, what they want to do sport-wise. But ultimately, you should contact our athletic office here at the high school, and they can kind of give you an idea of when those dates generally are. For our fall sports, most of them start very early in the summer, and some of our sports have ongoing off seasons. So it's important that you reach out to our athletic office, and they can give you more information about kind of when that preseason starts, when the actual season starts. Also, we have free physicals twice a year, I believe. So that's something to access to bring your child to, so that they can get physicals done as well. So, I would encourage you to reach out to our athletic office.
Mr. Bailey, there's a question in here. Are parents involved in the recommendation selection process? And I'm going to add to that question from another, it's kind of similar, in making the referral for honors or how a student gets into honors classes. So that would be all part of the recommendation selection process.
I answered that. So parents are not typically involved in the recommendation process. That does come from the middle schools. It comes from their teams, actually. So the team makes the decisions in terms, or I shouldn't say decisions, recommendations. However, your son or daughter student will receive a course verification sheet of the core recommendations. That doesn't prohibit you from changing their course. You do have the ability to do that if your son or daughter was not recommended for honors and you want your student in honors, they can choose that challenge. And what was the other one, Trasa?
I think you answered both.
Okay.
Yes.
Mandy, your written replies, check and see if you can make them go to the attendees or to the person. It looks like it's going to the
You
parent.
can't in the chat. You can in the Q&A, but you can't reply directly to the attendees in the chat, I don't think.
Click on the blue button at the bottom. You can send it to who you want.
Oh, okay.
We have questions again about the full-time virtual. We also had some questions about students in the Cyber Academy. Again, the students who are full-time virtual should be checking Schoology for any letters that we've sent out. I know the middle schools have posted letters to Schoology. If you haven't received any or you don't see them, please email the guidance counselor or the principals of the buildings to get that information. Any student who's in the Cyber Academy who wants to come into the Liberty High School, they would also need to email their guidance counselors to let them know that that's what they want to do. And then at the middle school level, we'll make sure that we do course selection with those students as we've been discussing here. Question in the Q&A, are course recommendation level contingent across all core subject areas?
No, not necessarily. I mean, we have students who are stronger in English social studies and they might bump up to honors in those courses, and science and math, they might take on-level courses. It's all depends on the student, their expressed desire in the coursework that they want to take, and the skills that they've mastered throughout the 8th grade.
We haven't talked about this, but at the high school level, generally, it is a jump from middle school to high school in terms of the challenge, right? The academic challenge of the course, of all the courses, and our students acclimate and do fine, but it takes some getting used to. The difference between the academic level and an honors level, and then honors to an AP level, right, is really surrounds a couple things. The rigor of the content, it could be the amount of content that they cover, the speed in which they cover that content, and often the amount of work that they're required to do independently, that they have to kind of take care of prior to coming in class, so that the class really is focused on possibly the discussion of that content. So there's a number of ways in which the next level up, if you will, can challenge a student. It really just depends on where that student is, and where that student hopes to be, and how much they want to challenge themselves.
Okay, so I have a question here in the Q&A. Can you explain how the typical day is structured with the block scheduling? All students at Liberty High School are on a block schedule. So essentially you're going to get 4 classes in the first semester, and you're going to get 4 classes in the second semester. That is a typical day at Liberty High School. All classes are approximately about 88 minutes long. And we start a day at 7:30. One of the things I always tell incoming freshmen is you should be sitting in your classroom at 7:30, not walking through the door at 7:30, because you will be late if you're walking through the door at 7:30. Class starts at 7:30. And we are done at 2:30. So, and they will get a half hour for lunch during the school day. I don't know if I missed anything.
I would just add that most of our courses run on a semester basis, which means, as Mr. we have 4 classes each semester. So the courses that your children will have starting in August will run through January. So the courses will start and end, so we'll have a final course grade and move on to a new schedule second half of.
There's more questions about placement of students in courses. Unfortunately, last year ended in somewhat of a wash. The data available to us right now for our rising ninth graders is limited. So while I can't speak directly as to how middle school teachers are making their recommendations, I would say that we typically make a holistic approach, meaning that we're looking at all data. We're looking at work ethic. Because we have students who are more than capable of doing the work, but sometimes they choose not to. We're looking at the ability level and what they produce in terms of the big assignments that they do in their current courses. So it's not one single item that defines what a student has, what coursework a student has. It's really a combination of many things. And like I said, the middle school teams sit down together and talk through every student on their team to decide what they feel would be the best recommendation for that student.
There's a question about orchestra and when that is. And Mandy, we may want to explain a little bit about how we schedule orchestra. Generally, kids who are in our music program are in multiple music. So they're in orchestra, band, orchestra, chorus, etc. You want to explain how we work that?
Sure. I must remind everyone that band, orchestra, choir is an elective. It's a 2-credit elective. It goes all year. It's scheduled in block 1 because they typically have morning band practice that funnels into block 1. It's scheduled on an every other day basis. So for many middle schools, there is that cycle day. So band falls on day 2, 4, 6. Orchestra and choir falls on day 1 through 5. And for the student who wants to do it all, band, orchestra, and choir, Mr. Long and Mrs. Wadrinsky, they work together to make sure that student has the opportunity to participate in all 3 groups. We also have women's ensemble that factors into that as well. Typically, if your student is only in orchestra, on the other days, they'll probably pick up a Health 1, a Health 2, or a PE in between if it's available. We do try to fill their schedules, but they usually get those courses out of the way fairly soon. And by 11th and 12th grade year, the opposite days tend to be study hall, or we encourage dual enrollment. But that's only for a student who chooses just band or just orchestra.
All right, Mr. Bailey, we have a question here, and I think you might want to answer this one. And it probably goes towards explaining our wellness center, but it's asking how administrators will support children throughout their high schools, especially if we're still in a pandemic.
How we will support them. I mean, there's a lot of ways in which we support them.
Right. I thought that would be a good place for you to talk about our wellness center.
Right. Academically, obviously, there's a bunch of different supports that we have to put in place, and we're doing things now. We're doing things with our seniors that are different, and so there's a lot of different things there. Socially, emotionally, we know that there's a lot of supports that need to be in place to make sure our kids are able to navigate returning. We know that it's a transition to go from being in school, either not being in school at all because you're e-classroom, or being in school on a hybrid, only 2 days a week. And so there's a lot that's happening in the brains and bodies of our kids that we have to plan for and be ready for. One of the things that we've done is we expanded what we used to call a wellness office into a wellness center. And what that means is we had 2 years ago, we started, and we were up to 2 social workers in our building who provided services for students and families. And then we had outside services that helped as well. And we were fortunate enough to get a grant that allowed us to expand into a wellness center. So now we have an actual large-scale location in our near our library, in which we can serve students. We have now 4 social workers who work with our students and families. We have occupational therapists who are in that office that are part of Moravian College. And we continue to have a number of outside services that work with our students as well. And so we're able to service students from the point of just the common challenges that students have in which they work with their guidance counselors, to kind of those midpoint concerns in which they really need the support of our social workers and therapists, all the way up to students who unfortunately are in and out of placements in which we need to bring them back and welcome them with open arms. And so we have services that do that. And so there's a myriad of providers that we are now able to employ to help our students transition from all different points of their experience.
All right, there's a question in the chat. It is, are there study halls? And the simple question to that is, yes, there are study halls. My recommendation is, if you have your son or daughter get scheduled a study hall, that you reach out to their guidance counselor to fill their schedule with a course. Not all course selection, not all courses that students pick during course selection will be in their schedule. That's not always the case. We do try our best to get kids into as many courses of their choosing as possible, but unfortunately some courses do get filled up, and there are study halls. With that being said, if you email the counselor, if you have a study hall in your schedule, to see what's open and available, and a lot of times students do end up taking classes that they might not have thought they were interested in, but end up taking and trying out anyway, and it's a great opportunity to learn something new and different at that point in time too. So. I don't have any. Oh, we got another question in the Q&A. How often and when does guidance start to reach out to students in regards to college? Do students reach out, or do guidance schedule something ongoing with students?
You can let Ms. Ramsey answer that one. Former guidance counselor.
It is ongoing. And am I coming through clearly? Because I'm getting that my connection's unstable. Okay. So those conversations and will be happening soon when the counselors are meeting with students to select courses. Even though they haven't gotten to us yet, we're already planning for, okay, what are their options 3-4 years out? And college certainly is part of that conversation. So they will tackle this over 4 years through a combination of in-class activities, group, individual sessions with in their freshman and sophomore seminar. They will definitely be reviewing the college admission process. It will continue in 11th grade. They will get a college planning guide. We run a fabulous college planning night every spring, where we offer a number of sessions in the evening so that students and parents can really individualize the experience and select the sessions that are most meaningful. They include topics such as college entrance exams, financial aid, the clearinghouse for student athletes, selective schools, state schools. So that will all, the program is 4 years plus. And then certainly come senior year, we will run additional workshops to help students and families with FAFSA completion, the required forms to get some assistance, financial assistance for college, and also just the nuts and bolts of the college application process. So it is ongoing. And you will get a number of emails from the guidance department on a fairly regular basis. If by September, just want to say, if by September you haven't received something from the guidance department, I would just reach out to the school, make sure we have an email on file.
So there was a question about band, orchestra, choir being credit bearing. Band, orchestra, and choir are co-curricular activities, meaning that they are courses in a student's schedule, as well as an activity after school. The band participates in the football games, which counts towards a grade. The band also participates in their concerts as well, parades, depending on when those come back. Similar to the orchestra and choir, a lot of the grade is based on performances. So sports are not co-curricular. They're just extracurricular. There was also a question if the IEP follows from middle school to high school. It absolutely does.
Can I just jump back to college for a second? Because I feel like it's an opportunity for me to make my annual plug for the Daily Bulletin, which I always highly recommend to parents that they're checking out. The announcements are available on Liberty's website. They're played in the morning for students every day. Students will often say they didn't hear the announcements, they don't pay attention, and they certainly don't take the message home to parents. So if you want to be in the loop of what's going on with regards to college admissions reps that are visiting us, now that's more virtual, obviously, but under normal circumstances, we have them come to the school to visit, and students can sign up to meet with reps from various institutions. So that type of information, along with jobs that are out there, activities with the different clubs, that's all did and up. I believe it's still on the website. It at least has the 5 days of the week. So I always say if you check it at least once a week, you have a pretty good handle of what's going on at Liberty.
I just want to jump in real quick. I know there was a question regarding credits for athletics. You don't necessarily receive credits, however, and I want to tie it in with a question that was in the chat regarding requirements that align to community service. Your participation, your child's participation in one of our varsity sports would make them eligible to receive 15 hours of community service one time during their years at Liberty High School. In addition, in terms of the specific requirements, the real big requirement is that the organization in which they do their community service with, that organization be a not-for-profit organization. And so the core requirement is not-for-profit. The other part of that requirement is, again, that they reach at minimum 60 hours of community service prior to graduation.
It also has to be done at an approved facility. So I would encourage, before your children start the community service process, to look on the website and check out the list of places that already are approved. If they're looking to do it at a nonprofit that is not approved, they would need to get it approved through Ms. Cruz, who is in charge of community service. She has an office here at Liberty. And so they would just need to either email her or come see her, and she can get that worked out. It's always better to do that ahead of time. Don't start the process and then say, hey, I have 15 hours. And now she says that's a place that can't be approved. So I would make sure you do that ahead of time.
Mr. Trasa has placed the website for the community service inside the chat.
You put it for panelists.
Yes, for panelists. Yes, it's on there for panelists.
You want it for attendees.
Oh, I see. Sorry. Hang on, here we go. Sorry about that, folks. I have a couple questions here, Mr. Bailey, that are all related to freshman orientation in August. Whether students or not will be able to come to the school and tour the school in August.
That is the hope. I'm believing beyond belief that we will be back to somewhat normal in August. I just have to have that faith that'll be our scenario. So my plan is to have all 2,800 students back in this building, all of our staff, and we back to fully functioning in August. So yes, that is the plan. Okay.
Somebody just said we're amazing. So thank you for saying that.
All right. Well, I'm not seeing any other questions. The one thing I'll say is, again, please make sure you go back and review the videos that are on the website. And if you have specific questions pertaining to a particular area, English, math, social studies, directly email the department chair. It's on the list of slides in one of the videos. You can pause it and write down all of the email addresses right off that slide, and directly email them. And they can give you some more specific information when it's questions like what are the major assignments in English 9, and right, those kinds of things. That's really stuff that the department chair can give you more detail on.
Mr. Bailey, we have one more question. It's a good one.
Sure.
Do freshmen still come in only on the first day? So freshmen come in the first day only. So
the first day of school, I believe, is what you're talking about. They come in at the normal time, and then the rest of the school comes in on a delay. So I think it's a 2 or 3 hour delay.
3 hour delay. 3 hour delay.
So we bring them in first. We do that on purpose so that the freshmen can come in, they get their schedules, they walk around, they walk to all the classes, they get to see where everything is, kind of get that fresh feeling of the new building, and kind of just to feel comfortable, and know where they are before we bring everyone else in. So yes, they still come in first, and then the rest of the 10th through 12th graders come in on a 3 hour delay on the first day of school. All right. So all of our information, our email addresses are on the website. You can reach out to us at any time with any other questions. And again, we'll be doing this again with you and at your individual middle schools in March. So if you're in eClassroom, please reach out to your principals and find out when those dates are scheduled for. And you can join us virtually for those as well. So
there's one more question in the Q&A about considering a workshop on the recruitment process. We most certainly can forward that on to Mr. Harris. I'm not sure if anyone else on our panel can speak to what coaches do for the recruitment process.
I think it just depends on the sport, because obviously some are more active than others in that process. I know that we've discussed that before about bringing in coaches to talk about recruitment and kind of the major points of it. So we will definitely share that with Mr. Harris. I think that's prudent. Again, thank you for joining us, being with us, spending your night with us. I know that you're busy. And I hope that we helped you feel a little more comfortable with this process. And remember, it is a process. So you're going to be more and more comfortable over time. I promise you that. It's just, we take one step at a time, we learn a little more, we feel a little more comfortable, and we get a little better at what we do. So, from the bottom of my heart, again, I thank you for choosing Liberty High School, choosing public education, and joining us on this wonderful journey to help your children become everything that they want to be, and even become stuff that they don't know that they want to be at this point. So I hope you all enjoy your night. I hope you all stay safe and have a great rest of your week. All right. Thank you very much, everyone.